Yikes! My stomach hurts, it's killing me, help! When I arrived at my in-laws' place, my husband started overacting in pain. It obviously looked like he was faking it. Even though I thought so, I still said, "Are you okay? I'm gonna call an ambulance right away, hang in there." As I said this, my mother-in-law interjected, "Taking him to the hospital will be faster than waiting for an ambulance. Take him yourself." No way, if it were really serious with my husband, you'd definitely call an ambulance. They seemed to be trying to get me out of the house by any means necessary. But too bad for them. Ignoring my mother-in-law and husband, I headed for a suspicious closet. Because you see, my name is Jessica Taylor, I'm 36 years old. Just a very ordinary, average housewife that you'd find anywhere. Well, that was until just a short while ago. Today, I want to share with you a somewhat tragic, but also kind of funny story that this very ordinary housewife got wrapped up in. I've always been utterly average without any particular talents. Sure, I'm a bit outspoken and tend to say what's on my mind right away, but I've had a fair number of boyfriends in the past. However, they were all sort of inertial relationships during my student days, and for nearly a decade since becoming a working adult, I hadn't been involved with any men. At the age of 32, a friend from work convinced me to go to a mixer, and that's where I met my destiny. That's how I met David, who would later become my husband. David, for years my junior, for some reason took an interest in me and pursued me persistently. What do you find good about me? I wondered if asking this might make me less likable. But I just couldn't help myself and had to ask. But far from being turned off, David just laughed and said, "It's exactly because you ask anything that comes to your mind." David was so entertaining to talk to, and I found myself increasingly enjoying the time we spent together. Before long, we started dating. A boyfriend after 10 years. Life seemed to brighten up a bit. But I never imagined that storm clouds would gather so soon. Just 3 months into our relationship, I got pregnant. I never thought I'd have a shotgun wedding, especially after turning 30. But when I told David, he said, "My kid? That's kind of exciting," and was genuinely happy, so we decided to inform both families about our marriage. My parents welcomed us with open arms, as if they had been eagerly waiting for this moment, but as soon as we visited David's family home, I immediately got a taste of my mother-in-law's sarcasm. I knew that David's parents had divorced due to his father's infidelity when he was in middle school. I had heard he and his mother had lived alone since then, so I wasn't expecting a warm welcome. I was somewhat prepared, but the assault from my mother-in-law was beyond my imagination. As I introduced myself, she glanced at me and then the interrogation began. "How old are you, Jessica?" 32 years old. "Really? You're 4 years older than David? Which university did you attend?" "I went to the local state college." "Eh? Isn't that a bit of a low-tier university?" It seems like I'm consistently failing to meet my mother-in-law's expectations. Every time she hears my answer, she lets out a heavy sigh. Having raised David single-handedly, maybe her image of the ideal daughter-in-law has become a bit too lofty? But even seeing that, David just chuckles and says, well, not taking it seriously. Nevertheless, in the end, we got married in a sort of it-can't-be-helped manner. With this, it feels like I'm not exactly welcomed by my mother-in-law, and it seems like I can't rely on David either. I wonder if I'll be able to get along with my mother-in-law from here on out. Right after getting married, I'm burdened with these worries. Of course, my prediction was spot on. There was never a warm relationship between me and my mother-in-law. But it's not like we're living together. I thought as long as we keep a reasonable distance, there shouldn't be a problem. In the midst of all this, I gave birth to a healthy baby girl, Anne. This must be what they mean by "she's the apple of my eye." Just born, and was so adorable. My mother and friends who visited all unanimously said she looks just like me, laughing. But to me, she seems to take after David when she smiles. Blessed by everyone, we were full of happiness, and we decided to go announce the birth to David's family. My mother-in-law, who usually has nothing but snide remarks for me, would surely be happy to see Anne. I believed this without a doubt. However, the words my mother-in-law uttered at her house were beyond my imagination. She barely glanced at Anne and said, "What's the point if the child's a girl?" And that's exactly what she said to me. I was left speechless by her comment, and to add insult to injury, she continued, "What's the use of a woman who can't produce an heir? Such a useless girl. That's why I dislike women with low education," she exaggerated with a sigh. Education has nothing to do with the gender of a child. Fuming, I retorted to my mother-in-law, "David's just a regular office worker, you know? There's no legacy to inherit in that." "Ma'am, just what era are you living in?" I spoke my mind. Then, glaring at me, she retorted, "Huh? Are you talking back to me? It's unheard of for a daughter-in-law to talk back to her mother-in-law. Has my mother-in-law been time-warped straight from the 50s or something?" But I figured any more words would be lost on her, as if she were stuck in a bygone era all by herself. Desperately wanting support, I glanced at David, but he seemed oblivious to our exchange. And to my dismay, after looking at Anne, my mother-in-law said, "This child really does look like Jessica. I'm worried about her future," and she sighed yet again. If she looked like David, even being a girl, she might have had a chance, but with that face. Hoping David would respond, he just chuckled and said, "Mom, that's a bit much. To have his wife and daughter belittled by his mother and for him to feel nothing." Fed up, I declared to them, "This is ridiculous. I'm going to raise and to be someone who isn't deceived by appearances like faces or educational background." With that, my mother-in-law clicked her tongue and said, "Humph. Such arrogance from someone uneducated. Besides, is this child really David's? Doubtful." She went as far as to say that. And with that, we left David's family home amidst a hostile atmosphere. When we got home, I pleaded with David that if his mother is going to mock me and with outdated remarks, at least he should defend us at the moment. But David started to take his mother's side, saying, "Mom just wants to say what she wants, why don't you just let her be? It's not something to get so worked up about." To my surprise, David started taking his mother's side. And then he coldly said to me, "If you dislike my mom so much, from now on, I'll go back home alone when there's business there." That's fine. 3 years have passed. My relationship with my mother-in-law hasn't improved, and I only make appearances at David's family home for holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas. But recently, David has been going back to his family home quite often. He used to go alone frequently before. But not as much as recently. It was at most once a month. But now, it seems like he's heading there almost every week. There are even days when David comes home from work during the week and has dinner at his parents' place. I get it, his parents' house is fairly close by. It's about a 30-minute drive if you have a car. But if you're coming from David's company to his folks, you have to pass our house on the way. Why on earth would he go out of his way to pass our place just to have dinner there? Unless something's up with his mom? That would be a concern. So I asked David, "You've been hanging out at your mom's a lot lately. Is something going on with her? If so, I'm worried, I'll come with you." He started to panic all of a sudden, "Huh? Mom? No, nothing's wrong. She's totally fine. So Jessica, you don't need to come, okay? Why are you freaking out? If she's fine, then good." But I felt something was off seeing David flustered like that. Once you start doubting, everything he does starts to look suspicious. I never questioned anything before, but now that I think about it calmly, there are weird things. David always has his phone with him, even when he goes to the bathroom or takes a shower. When did that start? Was he always like that? And he's been using cologne a lot. Especially when he goes to his parents' place. He makes sure to wear it every time. Why would you wear so much cologne just to meet your mom? That's a bit strange, isn't it? Concerned, I talked to a friend, and she was like, "Could it be an affair? Why don't you check it out? I have a friend who's a PI." No way, hiring a detective is a bit much, right? But when she mentioned it was a friend of a friend, it suddenly seemed less intimidating. Maybe just a trial, to have a little investigation? I suggested. My friend got in touch with her PI buddy, and I got an okay in no time. If there's no evidence of cheating, it's free. And if they find something, you get the friend price, she said. I'd never thought I'd be visiting a detective's office in my life, but out of curiosity, I went there with my friend. Just to check, nothing serious. There's no way David could be cheating. I truly believed that. But reality can be cruel. A few weeks later, my friend called me to the detective's office, where I learned the shocking truth. David was cheating. With a nurse 10 years younger than me. Some woman named Natalie Young. This must be some kind of mistake, right? I couldn't accept it right away, but the detective looked apologetic and said, "It's all true. Here's the proof." And he showed me a pile of evidence, including photos. To my astonishment, there were even pictures of David and his mistress holding hands, entering his parents' home. Why would they be entering his folks' place so cozily? Does his mom approve of this affair? Does a mother who condones cheating even exist? I was deeply shocked, but over time, that shock turned into anger. David had no idea I knew about his affair. This weekend my mom said she needs help with something, so I'm gonna head over. He told me cheerfully as he set off to his parents' place. He's probably meeting his mistress again. Knowing this might happen, I left and at my parents' and checked my location to meet up with the friend who'd been following David. Turns out, David had already met up with his mistress and they'd entered his parents' place together. I rushed to his folks' house and met up with my friend. After watching for a while, I got a call on my cell phone. I decided to push the doorbell. "Hi, it's Jessica. I haven't been around for a while. I heard David was here today, so I thought I'd come to see everyone too." When I said that, his mother sounded flustered. "Oh? Jessica? Why are you here? Could you open the door for me, please?" "Huh? Oh, yes, of course. Just a moment, will you?" Usually, she would race to the door and, with feigned surprise, retort with something like, "You never come by, and now all of a sudden, what do you want?" But today, something was clearly off. Because she wasn't opening the door right away, I kept pressing the doorbell and started pounding on the front door, calling out, "Can you open the door, please? Is something wrong? This is serious. Should I go around to the back door?" Seemingly worried that I might actually go around to the back, my mother-in-law asked with reluctance, "Jessica, is something the matter?" And finally opened the front door. Something is definitely up, I thought, as I brushed past her and declared with triumph, just popping in as I entered my in-laws' house. In the living room, David was also looking flustered and asked, "It's rare to see you, Jessica, is something wrong?" "No, not really." While saying this, I looked around the house. Then, I noticed a pair of women's earrings I had never seen before lying in front of the closet. Without hesitation, I made my way toward the closet when suddenly David cried out, "Ouch, ouch, ouch, this is bad, my stomach hurts, it's agonizing, help me." And he started to curl up on the floor in pain. Come on, it has to be an act. And then, my mother-in-law exaggeratedly exclaimed, "What? David, are you all right? I knew you weren't feeling well." Turning to me, she continued, "Jessica, David has been having stomach issues for a while now. We should take him to the hospital." Oh, that's news to me. Thinking this to myself, but finding the situation slightly amusing, I decided to play along with their charade. "Really? Is he okay?" I joined in, feigning concern. "Just hang on. I'll call an ambulance right away." At this, both mother-in-law and David exclaimed in unison, "An ambulance." Like mother, like son. They were quite the duo. I had to struggle not to burst out laughing. But the two of them were too preoccupied to notice my reaction. "We can't wait for an ambulance. Jessica, you must rush David to the hospital." "No. If it's really an emergency, we should actually call an ambulance." She probably didn't even realize what she was saying. She just wanted me out of the house, that's all it was. Unable to contain my laughter, I ignored them and, as I opened the closet, said, maybe we should get a nurse to check on him first? Oh, but wait, if it's orthopedics, that's a different specialty, isn't it? As I spoke, a woman emerged from the closet with a smile. That's true. Maybe I should take a look first. David's mistress, Summer, showed up. Taking Summer by the hand, I said, sorry to keep you cramped up in there. To which Summer replied with a smile, oh no, not at all, I'm fine. My mother-in-law, witnessing all this, murmured with an expression as if the world had ended, why? The thing is, I had received a report from a private investigator suggesting that Summer might not be aware that what she was engaged in was an affair. So, I had approached her beforehand. Indeed, as the detective guessed, Summer believed that David was a divorced single man. At first, Summer was disturbed and flustered, but when I told her that I was thinking of taking revenge, she offered to help. Looking at David and his mother now, they were both hanging their heads in shame. Slamming the investigation report I had received from the detective on the table in front of them, I demanded, care to explain this? The two of them remained silent, offering no explanation. Then, Summer spoke up, allow me to explain. According to her, my mother-in-law was the one who had orchestrated the meeting between her and David. At the beginning of the year, my mother-in-law had sprained her ankle and had been visiting the orthopedic clinic where Summer worked. She had taken a liking to Summer, a young and pretty nurse, and had introduced her to her son, David. At first, Summer was hesitant, but her mother-in-law insisted, telling her that David's previous wife had betrayed him and run off with another man. She said David was deeply hurt, a story Summer had been told. Because the mother-in-law was so persistent, and her colleagues at the nursing station also said, he's had it rough, just meet him once, Summer was persuaded to meet David. But once Summer met David, she found his stories interesting, and as they went out for meals several times, she began to want to support this once married, wounded man, and their relationship developed from there. Summer turned to me and said, as I told you the other day, I'm truly sorry. I'll pay the alimony. I'll do anything. She apologized like that. But it wasn't Summer I wanted an apology from. I told Summer, thank you for your cooperation. And then, I confronted the mother-in-law and David again, so, is this story true? It's about time you started talking for yourself. Then David finally said, my mom forced me into this. Well, I am a man, and, you know, Summer is young and cute, right? But I never intended to betray you, Jessica. Really? Mom said she'd make sure you wouldn't find out. When will this guy stop blaming his mom and running away? Apparently, the mother-in-law thought the same thing, because she said, David, you seemed happy enough meeting with Summer. Don't put all the blame on me, that's cowardly. And then she turned to me, besides, Jessica, you're to blame too, aren't you? It's obvious that a young and cute nurse like Summer is better than an older woman with less education like you. Plus, Summer doesn't talk back to me like you do. Now that it's out, just divorce David. It's actually better this way. The audacity was astonishing. Well, I had been planning to divorce anyway, so that was fine by me. I thrust the divorce papers at David and said, I was planning on this anyway. But you'll be paying alimony and child support. David was like, alimony and child support. Of course. We're divorcing because of what you did. As I said this, the mother-in-law was laughing, that's fine. I'll pay the alimony and child support. After all, Summer is a nurse. There's no problem at all. Oh dear. Is the mother-in-law really that clueless? When I looked at Summer, it seemed she felt the same as I did. Summer confronted the mother-in-law, it seems like you're making it sound like David and I are going to marry, but I have no such intention. I wanted to break up with you right after I heard about it from Jessica. But I endured it because I wanted to help Jessica, and I've been meeting you up until today. I'll also be claiming alimony for being deceived into thinking you were single. When she declared this, the mother-in-law and David were like, wait, what? Summer? Jessica, let's start over. For Anne's sake, I think it's better if we stay together, David pleaded. They were all saying what suited them best. But neither Summer nor I felt that way at all anymore. We both said, "We'll be hiring a lawyer for the rest. Please don't contact us ever again." And with that, we left the in-laws' house on good terms. Later, it seemed that the actions of the mother-in-law and David had spread throughout the neighborhood. It turned out that Summer had been telling her fellow nurses about the ordeal, and the story had quickly spread. Ostracized by the community, the two sold the family home and moved away. They paid me a lump sum for alimony and child support, and Summer's alimony as well, and after depleting their savings, it's anyone's guess how they're living off the money from the sale of the house. Well, it's none of my business anymore. As for me, I hit it off with Summer afterward. We have to make sure not to be fooled by weird guys again. Laughing, we've been deepening our friendship as women.